Now on Blackland.
You work for Mr. Dunn down at the rest home, ain't that right?
Yes.
Wonder what old Dunn will say when I tell him one of his gals down here stirring a fuss.
I ain't stirring no fuss. I'm just here trying to register to vote.
Recite the Constitution's preamble. You know what a preamble is?
We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union.
How many county judges in Alabama?
67.
Name them.
That may be a movie, but Oprah Winfrey playing the role of Annie Lee Cooper in Selma trying to vote was real, something Dorothy Guilford knows firsthand, as she told the Southern Poverty Law Center about 10 years ago.
My name is Dorothy Guilford. I was born May the 3rd, 1920 in Montgomery, Alabama.
Hear what happened to her when she tried to vote then and the efforts to stop black people now. But this time, meet the people wise to those dirty tricks and are waiting for those planning to suppress the black vote to dare to think they're going to get away with it in Blackland.
And now,
as a brown person, you just feel so invisible.
That's not fiction. Where we're from.
Brothers and sisters, I welcome you to this joyful day.
We celebrate freedom. Where we are.
Get on the ground!
I know someone heard something.
And where we're going.
We the people means all the people.
The Black Information Network presents Blackland with your host, Vanessa Tyler.
Well, I think I was probably 19 years old when I first voted. That was right after they had a lot of confusion about the poll tax. And I paid my poll tax that year and voted.
The poll tax Miss Guilford paid was $1.50, a fortune for poor rural black voters.
Black people have always had a difficult time voting.
Attorney Aubrey Nick Pittman with our voting history.
Even after the passage of the 14th and 15th Amendment, there are things like literacy tests and grandfather clauses. Even after the passage of the Voting Rights Act in 1965, there were states and municipalities trying to enact different rules that would prevent us from voting. And nowadays, it's a whole new level of disinformation and misinformation and challenges. There are over 28 different states that have different challenges that are going to make it more difficult for black people to vote and to make sure that their votes are counted. So we thought that this was the time for the National Bar Association to step forward and use our legal resources, use our legal acumen to try to make sure that first our communities are registered to vote, and then to make sure that those votes are counted.
Attorney Pittman heads the Lawyers for Democracy tour for the NBA, the National Bar Association, a group representing about 67,000 black lawyers and judges. And members are ready for any and all issues that will pop up when black people head to the polls. Wiley Adams is the president of the organization.
So we're gearing up for all that right now.
Yeah.
You're quite correct. There are many things going on which suggest that there's potentially bad things that might happen in the future. So one of the things we're doing is having a Lawyers for Democracy tour, signing up lawyers to engage in equal election protection, go out and monitor polls, make sure people know their rights. So our tour was here in D.C. yesterday over at White and Case. So we're doing that. We're also partnering again with other organizations, the NAACP, the Lawyers Committee. There's lots of groups out there who engage in that. So we have a particular expertise. They have expertise. We have partners that are providing resources to us with respect to election protection. LexisNexis is one partner where they have a tool that can give you up-to-date instant information about any locale. And so we're gearing up for something that we think is coming down the road. We see it coming and we need to be prepared.
We live in a time where voter suppression has reared its head again because of the evisceration of the Voting Rights Act, because Republicans believe that the only way to win is to change the rules. We know that 28 states since 2020 have actually made it harder to vote. We know those things. Knowledge is power. I grew up in a region of the country where voter suppression was it's in the air. But what we were able to do in Georgia, what we can do around the country, is when you know better, you do better. We know now what they're willing to do, and so we need to be aware, we need to be diligent, we need to check our registration, we need to make certain we take more people to the polls. The goal of voter suppression isn't to stop everyone, it's to weed out just enough that you can win on the margins. Well, we've got to make the margins so wide they can't possibly keep us out.
Yeah.
But I do want to acknowledge one piece of what you said, which is that the intention in Georgia and around the country to not certify the elections, that is very much part of the Republican strategy. People say it's the Trump strategy. No, it's the Republican strategy, which means every Republican leader needs to be held account. They have to tell you what they're going to do to guarantee that your vote, when it's cast, gets counted and that those votes get certified in a timely fashion. And if they're not willing to do so, doesn't matter what they did in 2020, doesn't matter what they did in 2022. If they're not willing to guarantee that they will protect your right to vote, you need to call them out and you need to show out and show them what we can do.
Voter advocate Stacey Abrams says this tight election is packed with suppression tactics. But now that we know, we must prepare.
The goal of voter suppression is not only to stop your vote, but to stop you from even trying. And if we let ourselves be afraid of voter suppression, then we are undoing all of the work we have accomplished over these many, many years to get to this place. They want us to count ourselves out. We can't do that. We can overwhelm the polls. We can make it too hard for them to be able to manipulate the outcome.
Which is why the National Bar Association has its members on high alert and signing up new members around the country for the fight that's sure to be ahead.
We're going to need over 25,000 lawyers, and that doesn't include other volunteers. This is just the legal minds that we're going to need to handle the litigation that's going to come out of voting. As you could probably imagine, there's going to be a lot of, there are a lot of states that are already talking about not certifying electors. So there's going to be a lot of litigation that's going to come out of that. We're going to have lawyers at polling places across the country to be ready to handle the issues that come up, on the spot. We're going to have lawyers there to do injunctions if we need to get injunctions at different polling places to make sure that the polling places stay open long enough, or to make sure that the votes are counted properly. So we need several thousand lawyers, and so that's why we're going across the country to make sure lawyers are involved.
Pittman has been traveling the country, getting black attorneys on board.
We initially chose 20 cities. We're up to 30 now because of the success of it. We've had a lot of additional cities. So we made sure that we covered cities in all the battleground states. And then we have other states where we've heard about different issues, misinformation and disinformation, where we know that there are going to be, a lot of obstacles in those states. So we've gone to those. We started in Texas. We did Houston and Dallas. We've been to New York City. We've been to Chicago. Then we're now about to start hitting all the battleground states. We're going to be in Georgia next week. We're going to be in Alabama. We're going to be in Tennessee. We're going to be in North Carolina.
Wow.
So we've got another 20 cities. In each of the cities, we had close to 350 lawyers sign up in New York City. We had over 150 sign up in Dallas, 150 or so sign up in Houston. So we've been going across. We were in St. Louis. We had probably 100 sign up in St. Louis. We've been to Milwaukee, had a large number, and we've had some great partnerships with a lot of different organizations.
The organization is nonpartisan, but the deep seed of doubt in the 2024 election already has been sown.
I will secure our elections. Our goal will be one-day voting with paper ballots, proof of citizenship, and a thing called voter ID.
It is wrong, deadly wrong, to deny any of your fellow Americans the right to vote in this country.
The year 1965, the President Lyndon Johnson, the speech about our American right to vote. We pick it up during a joint session of Congress. The faces of the lawmakers, overwhelmingly white, male, and many opposed to everything President Johnson is saying.
So it was last week in Selma, Alabama. There, long-suffering men and women peacefully protested the denial of their rights as Americans. Many were brutally assaulted.
President Johnson's American Promise speech calling for the dignity of man and the destiny of democracy as he urged stubborn white men to pass the voting rights bill so he could sign it into law.
Even if we pass this bill, the battle will not be over. What happened in Selma is part of a far larger movement which reaches into every section and state of America. It is the effort of American Negroes to secure for themselves the full blessings of American life. Their cause must be our cause too. Because it's not just Negroes, but really it's all of us who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice. And we shall overcome.
But the resistance continues, and as Stacey Abrams reminds us, so does the fight.
But what we know is that if we know what they're going to do, we've got to meet them on the field of battle. They may control the levers of power, but we control the levers of change, and we've got to pull those levers. But don't vote alone. Never vote alone. Make sure you take people with you, have a plan to vote. And if you need more information, go to fairfight.com/LFGV. That's where you can volunteer. You can sign up into your questions about voter suppression and what's happening with decertification. If we're there to watch what they're doing, it's a lot harder to get it done. So please go to fairfight.com/LFGV and you can find out more. And I also would love to tell people to listen to my podcast, Assembly Required with Stacey Abrams with Cricket Media, because we're going to talk a lot about how we solve these problems together, including how we get the vote turned out and how we don't get distracted by disinformation.
Black voters won't be alone. We already know thousands of black lawyers will have our backs.
So we'll have a physical presence, and then we'll have a presence on a hotline. So in most of the cities where we anticipate there are going to be issues, we'll have lawyers there actually at those polling places or nearby those polling places, so that, if they need to be called out on a moment's notice, they can do that. So we're going to have lawyers in those polling places doing poll monitoring. And then we're going to have 1-800 hotline numbers for people to call. So we're going to have lawyers staffed all across the country. We'll have two separate sets. We'll have some lawyers that'll be what we call national hotline lawyers. So they may be in New York and they may take a call from someone in Mississippi.
Right.
And then for some of those hotly contested states, we're going to have lawyers that are dedicated just to the voting laws of that particular state. So for instance, in Arizona and Nevada, we think there's going to be a lot of issues there. So we've got a lot of lawyers that are going to be located there. They understand those states' laws. And so they'll be right there on the spot. If they need to run from a polling place to a courthouse, they can do that on the spot.
It's said history repeats itself, and battles of the past seem to be the warnings of the present.
To those who seek to avoid action by their national government in their home communities, who want to and who seek to maintain purely local control over elections, the answer is simple. Open your polling places to all your people. Allow men and women to register and vote, whatever the color of their skin.
Join me next time on Blackland and let me know what you think at Vanessa Tyler 1 on Instagram. Remember, a new episode drops every Friday.